FYI. What we're gonna go through, actually, we have 3 more webinars this year. So what I thought I would do is use the last 3 to kind of walk you through a 3-step process. As you guys look at next year, what you can be doing next year from a prospecting standpoint that's gonna help you out, because it all starts with the foundation.
Of revenue.
Oh, can you guys mute yourself, please? Whoever's on a call right now, there you go. So today is gonna be step 1. So we're gonna go through three steps: clarity, capture, content. So if you guys want to write that down, step 1 is clarity, step 2 is capture, step 3 is content, and each webinar will be designated for one of those steps. And so when we work with our clients, we actually, looks like a baseball diamond, is clarity, capture, content, and then home plate is convert. If you can do all 3 of these things, you will convert. You'll start selling more. And so today we're going to focus on first base, which is clarity. And so what I'm going to do is pull up my slides. Here we go. Let me hit present. And as you guys, as I go through this, by the way, if you guys want, if you guys got questions, I'm gonna keep them right here. I hate going in presentation mode because then I can't see anybody. So what we want to talk about today is clarity, guys. And here's what I want us to do. I want to make these webinars a little more interactive. So if you're willing, in the chat box, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to ask a couple of 1 to 10 questions. Scale 1 to 10, I want you to tell me where you are with a number. 1 being bad, 10 being freaking awesome. First question I have for you guys is, right now, when you look at where you're at, whether it's you, maybe it's your agency, because you're a principal owner of the agency, scale 1 to 10, how are you happy with your current performance? As an individual or as a team? 1 is terrible, horrible performance. 10, I'm absolutely killing it. Where are you at right now? November 17th. We've got 9, we've got 5. Oh, by the way, I shouldn't have done this. 5 is a cop-out. Whoever gave a 5, that's a cop-out. You can't go with 5. That's too easy. But we've got 4, we've got 6s, we've got a 9, a couple 9s. Chelsea, a 3. I've been working with you. Now you're big. Now Hush is near you. What's that? Anyway, 7. Good. Okay. So that's question number 1. Where are you at? Even if you're a 9 right now, okay? Here's what I want you to ask yourself. Again, what do you need to do next year to make it even a better number? So even if you're a 9, my question for you is, what are you missing to make it a 10? If you're a 3, what are you missing right now that could make it a 5, a 7? Maybe you go from 3 all the way to 10. Because no matter where you're at, there's something you could do, a slight tweak you and your team could do next year to make it even better. I'll give you an example. When I have advisors reach out to us for help, or agencies, we usually find that people are in 1 or 2 spots. They're struggling, they're stuck, and they need to get out of that. And the mistake they make is they think by hiring us, they're going to go instantly from a 2 to a 10. It's not how it works. If we can get them from a 2 to a 5, that's progress. And then the next year from a 5 to an 8. But even the other type of people is the people who are at an 8 or a 9. But you know what? They're not satisfied with an 8 or a 9. They want to get to 10. They know they can take it to the next level. So we'll have people come to us, single advisors who have a $2 million book, $3 million book. And they're like, but I know I can get it to 6. So no matter where you're at right now, think about what you could be doing differently next year to take it up a notch. And the question I didn't even throw in here, which I should have, is how committed are you to get there? That's a big one. Because praying and hoping don't work if you're not committed. And this is something I have pushed against in this industry for quite a while because it's frustrating. I know when I came in 2001, is that when 2001, 2002, I was sold this dream I was hired by Federated Insurance. Anybody know who Federated is?
Yes.
One of the best training programs in the industry. I went through their training. We were shown the brochures. It says the average rep at Federated at that time made $170,000 a year. And that usually happens within the first 3 years. So what's your expectation when you come in? Oh, this is gonna be awesome. I'm 23 years old. This is gonna be by 26 and we're making 170K. Bring it on. You know the part they forgot to tell you? Oh yeah, there's a secret ingredient. It's called working your face off. So my question about how committed are you is important, because if you're not, no harm, no foul, but be real with yourself. Because here's what I want to help you guys do, starting with step 1. I want to help you build a prospecting strategy next year built for today, 2022, now about to be 2023. And this is where I do fight the traditional methods in our industry, because things have changed a lot, especially during and after the pandemic. This is the traditional way most advisors will wake up on January 1st and start their prospecting. They will go to ZoomInfo or MyEdge, and they will build a massive list. They have no clue if people are a good fit. They have not done any work to say who might be a good fit and who might not, because they just believe if I start with a big list, I can't lose. Then their strategy next year will start with this. They are just going to spend every week punching prospects in the face with a cold call followed by an email. A cold call followed by an email, and never once are they doing anything to create any kind of brand recognition with that prospect. So then the emails start flowing out. And eventually what happens to these advisors, I see it time and time again, and yours truly was here for a decade. This is how I started my career. I pick up the phone and I'm like, how do you not remember who I am? I called you 24 times. And eventually, guess what happens by October? We're desperate. Because January 1st, we set a sales goal of 100,000, 200,000, 500,000. And here we are in October, and we're still at a third of our goal. And now we're supposed to figure out a way to make up that goal, that gap with 90 days to go. And we get desperate. And I want to help you guys prevent that by completely shifting how you build a prospecting plan. I've seen it work in my career. We see it work with our clients. I have a few clients, current, former, on this call, and I know they know it's working. Because here's the reality, guys. If we're really being honest with ourselves, we are about as close. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do this as part of your plan, but I am going to say this. We are about as close to the cold call being dead as we have ever been in this industry. And again, I'm not saying cold calls a waste of time, but here's what I am saying. Calling somebody's office number today is very ineffective. One, many don't report to offices anymore. So there's no phone to be picked up. Most people today connect with the smartphone, right? In fact, how many people, you don't need to, I would say show of hands, but I can't see everybody, but how many people have gotten an email from a prospect and their cell phone is actually in their email signature? How many of you have your cell phone in your email signature? Right? That's how we communicate these days. It's changed. But here's the problem. When I call somebody's cell phone, what happens? If you get a call from somebody and you don't recognize the phone number on your cell phone, what do?
Let it go to voicemail.
Let it go to voicemail. And you determine if you're going to return it or not, right? We all do it. In fact, that it's funny, I share this with prospects and clients, and for whatever reason, this week I had like 5 advisors say, no, I actually pick every phone up because I'm in sales. I'm like, oh, really? Anyways, most of us let it go to voicemail, right? Worse yet. I have an iPhone, so I can't speak for Android. Our phones literally tell us now it might be spam. How in the world are we going to connect with somebody? The point is, it's harder today than it's ever been to get somebody this way. And so we have to figure out a different strategy. And the reason I bring this up is because I remember working with one of my advisors this time last year. I did a workshop with her, built this really good strategy. She walks into her management team's annual planning with her with this business plan, this prospecting plan. And they looked at her cross-eyed, and she worked for a very large firm in our industry. When she revealed her prospecting strategy we built together, her management team almost looked at her cross-eyed. They didn't know what to do with it, because their plan that they walked in was this: your goal this year is $500,000 revenue, because she works on big accounts. Their only strategy they provided her was to track her cold call. Gang, this still goes on in 2022. We have to build a better prospecting strategy that fits today's communication. So where we're going to start with the first webinar of 3 is clarity. Now, this is where we get into the tactical exercises I want you guys to start thinking about. The first question is this. I want you guys, if you got pen and paper, who's your favorite client today? I want you to give that some thought. And I want you to ask yourself, who is my favorite client today? Just write down, I want you to write down the name of the group if you sell business to business, and then write down the name of the contact or contacts you work with there. And now you've got to ask yourself the most important question. Why are they your favorite? There's only one response that you can't put down under that list, and that is because I make the most money on them. But I want you to think about why they are your favorite. And if you've been on my webinars in the past, yeah, I'm repeating myself on some things I've said before, but this is important, especially right now. You got to go into next year with a great game plan. I want you to break down your favorite client demographically and psychographically. Demographically is the stuff we've all been trained on, right? Size. So, make a list of demographics. Size of the group if you're in benefits. Industry, especially if you're on the commercial side. Geography. Maybe if you sell benefits, they're self-funded and you really like what are all the demographics about the group that make them really appealing? If you're a wholesale partner to the industry, you're going to do the same thing for brokers. Lay out your ideal broker. Demographically might be, what kind of book do they have? What's their typical client look like? Is most of their books self-funding? Lay out those demographics. Now, here's what's important about demographics. This is the easiest part about identifying a prospect. In fact, when I go back to what I said at the beginning about what we all have done in the past, we build a list. If you go to a platform like ZoomInfo or MyEdge, how are you creating that list? You're doing it off the demographics probably, right? Geography, size, industry, things like that. Here's the problem though. Demographics doesn't tell you if a prospect's a good fit or not. I've never had a client tell me, my favorite client is a machine shop because I specialize in machine shops. And my favorite client, he's a jerk. He treats me like crap. but he's a machine shop, so he's my favorite. No one's ever said that. The reason I bring this up is we can't skip the psychographics. You need to make a list of why they're your favorite psychographically. What does that mean? What do they believe in? What do they stand for? How do they make decisions? How do they treat you? Describe their personality. That's psychographics. Because I guarantee if you look at your favorite client and now go, how about I take a small mix of my clients I really like, and you just put them in the same bucket, I bet you they have a lot of the same characteristics when it comes to how they make decisions, what do they believe in, especially with what you sell, how they treat you, their personality. They're probably all very alike. For me, this really hit home back in 2015. I discovered this thing called psychographics. Little did I know that's what it was called. I had no idea. But where it really hit home for me, and I bet you some of you can put yourself in the same picture. When I moved out here to Colorado to go to work for Vulcan Bell, I took over a book of business, and it was more of our larger clients, self-funded clients. And I remember there was one particular group that was already self-funded, ASO. So I'm like, cool, I'm gonna get to go out and share my strategies and do some cool stuff with them. And it didn't take me long. It was about 2 meetings in, maybe 3, where I would literally find myself in the meeting with my account exec, and I'd be sitting there going, why am I here? They don't listen to anything I say. They don't want to do anything I suggest. And every time I see their name come up on the calendar, my energy literally dropped. And what I realized is because they were not a good fit for me. And I will tell you, the second I walked into our owner's office and I said, I got an idea. Why don't you give this account to somebody else? I became much happier. Guess what? The client did too, because they didn't like the fact I was sharing all these ideas because they didn't want to do anything about it. It was a win-win. And that's the moment I realized, wait a second. I got to do a good job qualifying psychographic fits. Because at the end of the day, if I go find those types of people, and for me, I didn't care what industry, what size, they're going to allow me to do my best work, which means I'm going to create the best result for them. And when those names pop up on my calendar, I'm going to love what I do. So I challenge everybody to think about that. When you go into next year and you're starting to build the game plan, a list, start with your favorite and ask yourself why, demographically and psychographically. But most important, look at those psychographics, because that is where your gold is going to be found. And here's the last piece to that I ask everybody to do on this webinar for next year. If you heard what I said with the psychographics, I said, what do they believe in and what do they stand for? I challenge everybody on this webinar today, going into next year, make next year the year you stand for something. What I mean by that is whether you sell health insurance, you sell commercial risk management services, we even have a financial planner on this call. Stand for something. I guarantee there's something you believe very strongly in when it comes to your product. Lean into that and let your audience know you stand for that. Yes, it might turn some people away. That's what you want, because those will be the people, the name on that calendar that pops up and you're like, ugh. But the people who align with what you stand for are going to be your best clients. Again, this goes back to a traditional form of training we have all been given. We can serve all people. That's been the insurance mantra. No, we can't. Nor do you want to. You want to go align with the people who believe what you believe, stand for what you stand for, and align with you psychographically. And if you can do that, I trust me when I say your life's going to be business and life are going to be a lot more fun and a lot better. Now, here's the last part of this. So now we go, okay, who's my favorite client? What is it about them I love, demographically, psychographically? What do I believe in what I sell? And I want to share a real quick story on that if anybody needs clarity on this. I was working with an advisor down in Texas about 2 months ago. And we went through that exercise. What do you stand for? What do you believe in about what you sell? Now, he's a benefit advisor, and his first answer to me was, I hate the misalignments in the system. Insurance carrier, healthcare system, I hate the misalignments. I said, okay, what about them don't you like? And he said, I just feel like employees and employers have no shot. It's a rigged game. I said, okay, let's dig deeper. Why is it a rigged game? And he said, employers are buying health insurance plans for their employees. Employees have no say. And they're left with these plans that they have to now use that are not helping them financially or physically with health and healthcare. I said, okay. I said, can you give me an example? Here's where we struck gold. He said, yeah, I watched my brother file medical bankruptcy because he had a health issue. His health plan that his employer gave him was terrible. And he said, worse yet, his company is literally down the street from one of my clients who has one of the best plans around. That frustrates me. I said, that's what you stand for. The moment he realized that, he started putting that content out into his audience with emails, social media, all that. We're going to get into that in the future step. Fast forward 2 months, him stepping into that, he just won a $50,000 AOR off of his social media content because he chose to stand for something and he leaned into it and it caught the right company and they said, yes, that's what we believe too. So my point in standing for something, guys, is it is so important to take a stand because that's how you're going to attract the best clients. Now, the last piece of this. Oh, I doubled this down. Sorry. Last piece right there. Last piece of this is, so identify your ideal prospect. Now build your list off of the psychographics as much as you can, the demographic. Now, here is going to be the key. When you build a list, it is almost impossible to build a list off of psychographics at the beginning because you don't know who these people are. You don't know how they make decisions. So you're going to probably start with the demographics, and that's okay. But now when you start reaching out to them, which we're going to capture in step 3 on content, your content, your team's content is going to start identifying the people psychographically. Because as long as you're willing to stand for something and lean into something, the right people will start coming out of the woodwork because they're going to start raising their hand. And here's the last part of clarity I want to give you guys, and this is so important. Smallest viable market. Every one of you on this call is going to want to go build the biggest list you possibly can build. Don't get caught in that trap. I would rather have a list of 200 prospects who are qualified versus a list of 1,000 who I don't even know if the emails are right. I don't even know if they're actually prospects, which is what a lot of people do. The smaller, more qualified the list, the more effective it's going to be. So with that being said, we've got a few minutes left. What questions? This is your chance to ask away, guys. Whether it's identifying your ideal prospect, building a list, what are your questions you have around step 1? Going once.
Andy, this is John. You
Yeah.
know, we have quite a few producers, and all with different skill sets and different thoughts on an ideal customer, being that we're unique in 4 different areas of our business. So if you are a coach or if you're a person that's trying to help or assist these folks, what do you recommend they do? Anything different? Or, I mean, obviously we all have to identify our own ideal prospect, but there might be some different attitudes amongst several people in one department. You have other thoughts. What would you recommend you do in that
When you say other thoughts around what, John?
Well, just in relationship to getting out there and identifying a list or a pipeline. We do it consistently across the board here in Southwest Michigan, but we're not a big city like Atlanta or Chicago or anything like that. So, when you say 200, we've probably already identified all those 200, but now we need to narrow it down and how do we approach them, correct?
Yep.
So I guess that's the next step, right?
So we're going to cover that in. So in step 2, guys, at capture, we're going to talk about how to grow that list effectively. And then step 3 is how do we reach out with content, right? So to answer your question, John, a lot of people are still sold. Okay, I have a list of 200. I'm gonna go make phone calls, right? Okay.
Exactly.
That means you can hit them one at a time, right? That's 1-to-1 selling. Where what's changed today because of the way we do business is you got to put a megaphone in front of your prospecting. What does that mean? Social media, emails, public speaking, webinars, podcasts, those are all ways to hit many of them at one time. And that's what you got to do today. And I know not everybody's bought on that, but what's gonna play out is the people who spend the time doing that are going to get bigger results, and the people who continue to choose the traditional methods, and maybe you're an amazing cold caller and it works. 98% of the people are not, but those results will prove themselves over time when the people who choose to become, think of it, I want everybody on this webinar to think of themselves as this next year. I'm actually going to become an education platform that happens to sell health insurance or commercial insurance. If you do that, you will kill it next year. Become this. Where do you guys go when you want education today? Where's the first place you guys go? You need to look up something, you want to be educated on a topic. Where do you guys go?
Professional resource.
What's that, John?
A professional resource.
Special resource. But where do we usually start today?
Google, internet.
Google.
Google?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. Google.
Yeah.
And then what's right behind Google? Anybody know?
LinkedIn.
No, good. That's a good one. But even before LinkedIn, second largest search engine in the world.
YouTube.
YouTube. Why aren't you there? Guys, this is where the game has changed. You want to be an education go-to resource for your prospects when they go search for things. You want to be the one that pops up when they search for them. You should have a YouTube channel. Your team should have a YouTube channel. You guys should be all over Google with content from your website that's searchable. That's how we win today, because when your prospects start looking, that's where they go. Again, this goes against how we were all trained, but a lot has changed. And so, John, to finish up your answer, if you're part of a team that has marketing and selling, how many people, and you don't need to raise your hand, but where you have a marketing department and then you got producers, right? The biggest mistake these agencies make in the financial services, insurance industry is these two don't talk to each other, which makes no sense. Your producers should be your marketing content creators. And the marketing team's job is to get it out, because the producers are on the front end hearing the questions, hearing the objections, knowing what prospects are looking for. They should be creating the content. So my challenge to every agency is you need all your producers creating content, whether they choose to do it with articles, emails, video, I don't care. They need to be producing content because they're on the front ends. Then let your marketing department be the team that puts the megaphone on. But we're going to really get into that, guys, in step 3, how to create content that converts today. And if you've been through my academy, you've worked with us, you know we've talked about it. Now it's just a matter of putting the content strategy in place. And I'll finish by saying this, guys, because I know we're a little over. If you go to the chat box, I put something down that says schedule a call, and it's got my calendar. Our next Broker Branding Academy starts January 18th, so 2 months from tomorrow. If you're an individual producer, commercial, benefits, financial services, I don't care. This is what we're gonna go through in the academy. We're building this system, and some of you have been through it and can attest to it. Check it out, guys. Let's get on a call, go check it out. If you want to learn more, I'm here. In fact, I'm going to throw this in there for you guys too. One more thing, if you guys can give me 1 second. We actually have a nice page which gives you the details. If you want to get the details first, I'm going to also put that in the chat box here. So you can go check that out as well. But guys, step 1 is knowing exactly who your ideal fit is for you and knowing you're not a fit for everybody. Step 2, and I stress when I say this, quality over quantity next year. And then step 2 is who is the best fit for me psychographically, who's the best fit for our team psychographically. And then stand for something, lean into that and go put that out in front of your prospects. It is going to work. The only thing that'll stop you is your lack of consistency and lack of commitment. That's it. So next 2 weeks from now, so we take a week off, we're going to get into capture, which is how you can, we call it permission-based marketing. How you can actually get prospects to give you their contact info, and they're giving you permission to reach out to them. That's what we're going to cover next week or 2 weeks from now. So with that being said, gang, I wish everybody an amazing Thanksgiving. If you're in a part of the country where the snow's flying like it is for me, I'm sorry. But if you guys, any last questions before I let you guys roll? I'm gonna, one more thing. I always end up going, okay, hold on. Joey Hall, you put in BOR versus quoting. I love that. This is the year I want you guys to try to get as many BORs, not on quoting, as you can. Remember, your job, gang, is to sell your prospects on a destination. They may not get to that destination today, tomorrow, 2 years from now, but get them bought into the destination that you can take them to, and then get hired to take them there, even though it might take a couple years. We all get caught in this, I have to win the business on a quote, win the business on your strategy. That's your goal for next year. So if you guys have any questions, most of you have my contact email, LinkedIn, you know where to find me. Go have an amazing Thanksgiving, guys. If you want more info about the Broker Branding Academy, the page is there, my calendar's there, hit me up, let's jump on a call. Otherwise, we're gonna kick some serious butt next year, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Andy.
Andy.
Thank you.
Okay, guys.
Randy?